Hello friends, welcome to my video. In this video, I will show you how to create a simple Android app for your business or for your enterprise. In this tutorial, I will take a very simple example. I will assume that you are probably a businessman in a merchandise business and where you maintain an inventory in probably of shirt, trousers, pants and other cloth item. So we'll create a simple database in Android using SQLite where you'll have two columns, basically one a stock name and quantity. So and you'll have different entries into it. I'm trying to create a very simple example here, but of course you can expand it, expand this table as per your needs. So say for example you can add price and average price and cost price and selling price and other things. But to keep this tutorial simple, I'll just create a simple two columns database quickly over here. So let's start. So we'll first create a new Android project. I'll just name it my business app YouTube. My business app IT. You can name anything; it doesn't matter over here. And by default, it will take the folder name and everything. You can just do next once you have given the application name and the company domain. You can choose your APIs here. Probably I'll go with 26, which works fine for me. I leave it the default one, and I'll go for the empty activity. In terms of UI, I will make it very simple. I won't spend too much of time because I want to show you the I want to show you the actual script. So it will take few seconds to complete. I also have emulator Nexus phone emulator installed on my machine. So once this is done, I'll go to the XML format. So first let's complete our layout. So in terms of layout, I will, as I have shown in my other videos, I prefer to go for the relative layout here. Sorry for that. Yeah. So I will choose the relative layout because it gives me more flexibility to design the things easily. And then I delete whatever is by default it comes. I'll just maximize this. Yeah, so I will need probably few text box. So I need the edit text for entering my this will be for stock name, and probably one I will need for quantity. So I'll just put it side by side, and then I need one text box to display the output. So yes, feel free to design the layout as per your needs. So I will just try to be as quick as possible here. For the buttons, I would like to keep one button here and another button here. So this button will be probably I'd like to write over here, or this will for read. So and button read. So this will read from the database, the stock name what we give here. Update, don't ask again. Yes. Okay, and in this case I will go for write, and I'll also change the ID as button write. Okay, so once I've done this, probably in this one I don't need any text, and probably I can give some hints. So hint I will give is a stock name. Yeah, and I'll change the ID to edit text stock name. It becomes a bit long, I know, but sometimes it's useful to identify it nicely. I'll just delete and quantity, and I'll change the ID also. I'll just add quantity here. quantity. Yes. So once I've done this, probably I'll just modify this also. So this will be my it will be display. So it will be my display view. Not so I can mention like output. No, okay, I don't need a text. I will need a hint for this. So or probably I can just add here output will be displayed here, and I can do the alignment. So I will go to this mode, view all attributes. I can go to the text alignment, somewhere down it should be here, and then I'll make it center. It should come center. Yes. So once I've done these things, I'll change the ID of this also to text view and followed by display. That's it. So I have done all these things. There's few these warnings, and that's because hard-coded text this is usually comes. You can just click on this fix, and it will just create the resource for the strings which we have used in our XML file. So it's a good like recommended approach from Android Studio to do this. So once I have it, now we will shift to the Java code to start our actual programming. Yeah, I shift to the Java now. So in Java, before we proceed in the main activity, let's create our this SQL database class. So that's very simple. It won't take more than like a few seconds to do it. First, let's create a new Java class, and let's give it a name as my database handle. So we will have our database created and basically the initialization of database will happen in this class. It's really important. So this class will extend SQL Lite open helper. Yeah, so the moment you extend this, it will give this red error, something like this, and just go to this red hint what it says, and it will suggest you what to do, like how to fix this. So it's basically saying to implement few methods which are like on create and upgrade, because those are the basic needed by this uh, database. Okay, so once we have done it, now what else we can do is we can define the constructor for this class. So for constructor, again the process is very simple. Just in your keyboard press alt plus enter, and alt plus enter. Okay, but before that I think this red error is still coming. There is no default constructor for SQLite helper. Okay, so yeah, so basically we have to define the constructor over here, the default constructor. So as I told you, you can press okay, sorry, you should not press alt plus enter, but you should press alt plus insert key in your keyboard. The moment you press alt plus insert key, it will prompt what do you want to insert, whether you want to insert constructor or something. The other alternative approach is you can just right click over here, and you can go to generate this option, generate, and just click over here, and then you can click constructor, and the default constructor you can choose the first one that's sufficient for this particular application. You can click here and it will generate the constructor for this. That's it. So your database class is completed. Now we can switch to the main activity. So in main activity, first let's create the objects for all the widgets which we have defined in XML file, our all these buttons and everything, I mean this text box. So let's define few and keep them as a private objects here. So edit text box, and let's first have the text box for the stock name. So edit text stock name equal to, okay, so over here of course I'll just leave it like this, and in same thing I'll do for the quantity, edit text quantity, and the other one was it was the text view. So text view display. So we have created the attributes for them. Now let's initialize them in our own create function. So my edit text quantity, or before that probably I like to maintain the same order. This becomes find view by id r dot id dot as far as I know, this was again the same thing, edit text stopping. So I purposefully keep the same name because it's avoids any kind of confusion during the initialization. And if you have big program, it really helps to no, sorry, this won't be this will be quantity, and the third one will be my text view display will be equal to find view by id r dot id dot text view display. Okay, so once we have it, the other thing which we need is one object for our handle, the class which we have created. So that again I'll create a as private member, and I'll name it as my database handle, and db handle I'll just name it like this. And in this I'll just create db handle equal to new my database handle. Now over here we have to complete, because the default constructor needs few of the arguments. So as you see, it needs the context. The first input is context. The second input was okay, it's not prompting here, but let me see if it gives any help here. Move assignment to field request. No, it doesn't give. So we can go to this our class and see the second one is the string name, the name of the database which we want to connect to. So we can give the name of our database over here. So probably what the name we can give is my first database. Looks good. Yeah. Then the third one is the factory, so we can just put it as a null. And the fourth one is the database version. So this is basically if you are doing very complex database and you want to have the versioning in the database also, then you can use this fourth argument. Otherwise you can just leave it default to 1 or something like that. Okay, so once we have the handle of this database, now let's have a our database itself. So this is the handle to the database. Now let's have a object which is actually the database. So that again we can have like a private member and SQL Lite Database, this one, and this will be my DB, or yeah, my database. Looks good. Yeah. So what I can do is over here, from this handle I can derive my database. So this will be db handle dot get. No, there it gives lots of options, whether you want just read only permission or write only or what. So I will go for the writable database because we would be writing and reading both, so it's good to have a writable database. Yeah, once we have done this, now one thing which I would like to show, if you are really doing a professional programming, then you should create the table in this database in the constructor of this database or somewhere else. But for the sake of simplicity, because I want to maintain all the code in one place, I'll create a table over here itself. But I will wrap it around with this try-catch statement, because once you create a table, you should not recreate the table again and again. So in this try-catch, I'll catch the exception that if the table exists, you should just ignore it and proceed. So I'll just first form the create table SQL query. If you don't know SQL, don't worry, it's very simple. You don't need too much of SQL to do all this programming. You just need to know basic commands like how to create a table, how to insert data, and how to query a data. So let me have a SQL statement for create table. So I'll name this variable as create string create table. And I'm also hard coding all these things over here, but table name and all those things, but you can again design it in your UI, where you can have the flexibility to choose different tables as well. So I'll just write the command table create table, and then we have followed by table name. So this I will probably name as my first table, and this will be, then I have to give the column names. So column names I will give, so as I showed in my the first column name will be stock name, and the second column name will be quantity. So stock name, and this will be of type text, and the second column name will be quantity, and it will be of type integer. So once you have done this, I think one this is missing, bracket is missing and semicolon is missing. Yeah, then we can call this query using the execute SQL command in database. So I will just call my db and then call this execute SQL, and then I'll call my above SQL create table. That's it. So this should create the table called first table in my database. If it doesn't exist, if it exists, it will throw a exception. So we will need to catch that exception here. Sorry, it should be catch and exception, and then you can just leave it as it is, because we know what we are doing here, or otherwise just for the simplicity we can just either print it to a log file or something like that, so that you, if you are doing a professional programming, you can just know from where all your this was thrown, the exception was thrown. Now to proceed further, what I can do is I can create now for each button call I will have to write methods. So for write button I'll write insert or write method, or for read I'll write the read method. So here goes public void, and since I don't have any return type, so I'll just write button view, and that's it. And the second one I'll do is public void read button view. Yeah. So before I proceed of this code, I will go to my XML and update this on click function of both these buttons, because many times if you are too deep into programming, you miss out these small things, and later on it will throw an error and you will be wondering what the hell is going wrong. So read operation for read button, and for this one for write I'll give write. Okay, so read is for read and write is for write. Yeah, so I wanted to verify this. Yeah, so now our button callbacks are set here. So I go back to my Java, and let's start for the write method call. So write method is very simple. We have to use the insert command, but in insert command it takes the form to be inserted in terms of an object called content values. So we have to create that content values the way we want to insert, or things which we want to insert. So I'll just create a content value here, and so it will have the content which is going to be inserted. So in our content values I'll just do a put, and if you saw the syntax, the first is the key. So basically the column to which you want to insert it. So for the first column which we want to insert is the stock name, and the second column to which we want to insert is the integer, or basically the quantity. So we add here, or more than that we can just copy paste here, because control C, control V, and once we have this stock name, we should give the value of this stock name. So that value will be, we will be retrieving from our XML. That will be the first box of the stock name. So that we can take from our edit stock name dot get text dot to string. Yes, and then we will do the same thing for the second one, for the quantity. So quantity, just be sure that the spelling mistake is not there, same. So usually you should prefer to do a copy paste from here to here, and yeah, and the second one will be my edit text quantity got text dot to string. Yeah, And since we have done it as an integer format here, so in the table you may have to change this from a text format to integer. So we will have to pass it using the integer parse int, and that's it. And you have to include this in inside that parse int method. So once your content values is created, now we can just simply insert this into our database. So we can call my database dot insert, and first we have to give the table name where we want to insert. So the table name will be our first table, and then we have to call the null column hack, so they will just put null, and the third one is our content values. So here we will pass the content values. That's it. It's so simple. So this will insert our information in the database. Okay, if you're not aware, if you're just wondering where will this data go, so this data will be going into the database, which will be locally stored into your Android app. So this won't be hosted in any of the servers, but it will be always very much secure to you, that no one else can access this database. So the advantage you get is you can form the table structure to play with, and you can form as many tables, and you'll have a local database to play with basically. So that's the advantage. Now if I proceed, if let me create a read button for this. So for read button, what we need is we will need a query. We will probably use the row query method in the database, so I can probably show you upfront. So what we'll be using is this row query method, this one. But for this, what we need is, first we need a SQL query which we can use. So we'll create it using string, and we'll create our query, again this one. And if you don't know, again it's a bit of SQL over here, but if you don't know SQL, is very simple. So few things you may have to learn from SQL is how to use create table command, how to use select command. That's it, nothing more. And for insert and all those things, you can use this kind of concept. In fact, for query also, you can form query like this using the content values concept. But I wanted to show how you can do it using row query concept also, where the person who enjoys SQL query can really form long queries and put it. So yeah, once we have it, so select a star from what do we want to select from. So first table. So okay, so over here I see I can give the table name wrongly, so please be careful. That's why I think I should better do a copy paste, and again I should do a copy paste over here also from the table name, and where our column. So column name will be a stock name. So this is our column name. So we are basically trying to match our whatever the entered here, that we are trying to match, that we are trying to take as a primary key over here to do a search in our database. So this is equal to, and again we can probably use this concatenation method, and over here we will need the edit text stock name dot get text dot to string. Yeah, so once we have it, and we will have to close this quotation mark also over here. That's it. Yeah, so once we have this query, what we can do is we can just run this query in our using this command row query, and the first argument will be my SQL, which is query over here, and the second will be the argument. So over here we are not passing any argument, so I'm just giving null. So what this will do is this will return me the cursor to the database. So we should also define a cursor here. Cursor, my cursor equal to, yeah. So now I have got my cursor to the database. So if this query is successful, it will point to the first place of the database where it is found. If it is not found, it will point to the null. So we can check if my cursor dot move to first. If this is true, that means there is some data because it is moved to some place. And then what we can do is we can just use this my cursor move to first to get to move to point to the first data, and then we can use our output of this my cursor to be displayed in the display box over here. So what we will retrieve is we'll retrieve that stock time and quantity both from the database. So let's do that. So for that we will use our text view display dot set text equal to, now we will need my cursor dot get string. Yeah, so in this my cursor now you can do a get string, and then you have to give the column index from which column you want the string. So for the first time I want the from column 0, that is the first column. The indexing starts from 0, of course, and then I'll concatenate the other part. So before concatenation, probably 1 2 3 1 2 3 is just for clarity, nothing more. So now I do take the second column, which will be my quantity. So second column is 1 here. Yeah, so this will display the text. Now else part. So if this fails, that means there is no data by the name what I'm searching. So this will be the else part, and then in that case text view display dot set text, and I can just display something like data not found or something like that. You can choose your error message as per your wish. Data not found, or please try again, something like that. Okay, yeah, so that's it. So more or less I think our program is ready. So let's simulate and see. So our write method is written and read method is written. We have also assigned these methods as a callback to them. I'll choose the Nexus emulator for this example. I'll bring it to the right hand side so that we can see it in parallel. I'll just so I was trying just before this example, I was trying something. So this is from my previous app. So once I think once this gradle build is successful, it will open our app which we have created right now. Yeah, so this is our app we have created. So let's test it. So without entering any data, if I click on read, it should give like I'm expecting it should give data not found error here. So if I click here, data not found. This is exactly what I wanted. Now let's do some let's enter something. Okay, let's enter start, and let's not first insert it, and again I'll do a read. So still it's data not found. Now let's insert some quantity and do a write. So now it's in the database. Now if I say, for example, if I okay, before I do for start, I'll change it to trouser, and quantity I'll change it to 8, and I'll do a write. Now say for example, if you want to know how much is the shirt quantity there, you can just type in shirt here and do a read, and it should return the value 5. Yeah, shirt equal to 5 because that is what we entered. Now if you want to say, for example, if you want to enter some other thing, tie, and tie quantity probably I want to enter as 12. So I have 12 ties in my stock, and now I want to read again I want to read. Okay, shirt we already read. I will try this example for trouser. So read, I'm expecting it should return 8 over here. Yeah, so 8 is what I entered. I hope it's visible. If not, we can just increase the font size of this one here, but I won't take I'll just quickly show where you can go. You can just type in here text font or size. I am not sure what is the yeah, text size. You can just increase it here, and this will be effective there. I won't do this for the lack of time, so let me try something else. So let me try to put belt, and so 7. So right, so now my database is updated with tie, belt, trousers and shirts. So say for example I want to know how much is your tie. So read, so it will show my ties. There are 12 number of ties in my inventory. Yeah, so over here you can just read one data at a time. If you want to really make it more sophisticated and you want to read more data, you have to just play over here that you can accumulate more and more queries. You can modify this SQL query in such a way that it returns more and more data, and then you can use a kind of iterative loop over here to read the data one by one through the cursor, and then display it using this set text. So for the simplicity of this tutorial, I will leave it over here right now. I hope this video was helpful. It is very simple. It's just few lines of code which you need, and one database class. That's it. Nothing more you need. I hope this video was useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to write in my comment section. If you have any more request or any more recommendation, please put in my this comment section. And if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot for watching this video and have a nice day. Bye.